The story starts with our main character, Maruta Makoto, getting massaged by his sister. He gets teased by his sister saying that he is good for nothing because he is a NEET, but she will still take care of him. This banter annoyed him, and then a bright light flashes behind him. After the light vanishes, Makoto is met with a goddess in front of him. She describes his abilities and skills, and while Makoto is still sorting out his senses, the goddess explains that he is teleported to a world named Manhwa, and she was the one who called him here. The goddess was hoping she would be able to summon a great hero or a noble knight. But by the looks of things, she summons someone below average. Makoto, insulted by her words, demands that if she deems him worthless, she should just send him back. But unfortunately, she cannot because she spends a lot of power summoning him. The goddess cannot spend any more sending him back and does not want to spend any more power on him, so she banishes him to the surface of the world. Makoto tried to pinch himself to make sure he was not in a dream, and he decided that finding a village would be the best choice for now. Suddenly, there is an old woman asking for food from him, saying that she has not eaten anything for 2 days and might starve to death. Makoto thought she stinks while thinking if he should give him his food since he does not know how long it will take him to get to the next village. He decided to donate his food anyway. Makoto asked the old woman how to get to the nearest town, and she said that the road would take him to a town named Rua after walking there for half a day. He now plans to leave but is interrupted by the old woman asking him to carry him since she herself is on the way to Rua but tripped and injured her feet. Makoto felt annoyed since he might not make it in half a day if he was carrying someone else. The old lady begged him because she would die if she was left here, so Makoto decided to carry her on his back. While walking on the way there, the grandma apologizes for being a troublemaker to Makoto, but the main reason why Makoto brought her with him is because it would bother him if he let this old woman die. He told her his story about being from another world. The old woman told him stories about gods and their fight for more power, and that some of the gods thirst for so much more power that they become corrupted. But the god who summoned Makoto does things differently. She summons heroes from another world to help her, but if she deems the person she summons worthless, she will throw them to the surface using transportation spells. At some point, the old woman asked Makoto to put her down. That is where she transformed into another goddess. She introduced herself as Lyanna, the Eye of Gods or God's Eye, and she is currently in need of followers who are good people, just like Makoto. And out of all the people she came across, many gave her food, but Makoto was the only one who carried her on his back. If he agrees, she will lend him some power, but the power he gets will determine if he is good enough to be a follower of Lyanna. She also said that he can be strong enough to wield the God's Eye, which he can use to see someone else's information, view events that happened in the past, and view all the possible future outcomes. Lyanna asked Makoto if he was interested, but he asked her to clarify what being a follower is all about. She said it depends on the goddess. Lyanna cannot force her followers to do her bidding, even though she sometimes wishes to. She suggested that if he cannot make his mind up yet, he can be a temporary follower for 1 month. She said that she does not want to decide based on how she feels, therefore, she will be watching over him with her power. Lyanna asked Makoto to close his right eye. From this time on, Makoto has the God's Eye. Lyanna suggests he use it on himself. It showed his initial stats. She said that he has some nice potential. Lyanna is now planning to go back to the God's realm while giving instructions on how to use the God's Eye, but she is interrupted by Makoto hoping that she can send him back to Earth. Lyanna apologizes because she does not have that kind of power. Makoto finished his travels in Rua town, where the population is only 5. He surveyed his surroundings and found a lot of wood. Makoto saw someone standing near a fountain. He greets the person who turns out to be a zombie. The panicked Makoto threw a rock at the zombie and ran away. He wondered what happened to the town. Then the God's Eye shows him the past of the town, meaning the God's Eye works. He finds himself surrounded by zombies, and he feels scared by the thought that he might end up like them. But he straightened himself and tried to find solutions available for him. He thought he should have at least a weapon he could use to fight them with. That is when he remembered the logs of wood stockpiled in the town. Makoto wielded a log of wood and smashed through the zombies left and right. He contemplates. How lucky he is to find a wooden log, since he is sure that he cannot fight with an actual weapon. He plans to leave the town when he suddenly remembers the population is 5, not 0, meaning there are survivors. He tried shouting to find the survivors. That is when he heard soft mumblings in the well. He opened the cover and found 3 women huddled together. The 3 girls thanked Makoto for saving them from the well. Makoto asked how they ended up there. They explained that they broke a very expensive item, and as punishment, they were forced to walk around the town naked and then spend a night in the well. That being said, they are naked, and asked Makoto if they could go back to the mansion to get their clothes. Makoto got embarrassed as soon as he realized they were naked and suggested that he escort them for safety. Here we get the names of the girls, Maria, Kachua, and Marie. They are the Razlian sisters. They apologized for making Makoto wait, then asked what he wanted to do next. He said he wants to save the remaining survivors in the town. The girls were surprised that someone had survived the zombies. Makoto asked if they would help him, to which they agreed. After looking around and shouting that all zombies are dead, they only encountered a zombie. After Makoto defeated the zombie, he noticed that it was easier than before. He checked his stats, and it turns out it increased. Makoto also acquired the Barbarian Warrior class, which made him feel like a savage. He looked at the girls who were amazed at him. They complimented him, going as far as calling him a hero. But for Maria, he is her personal hero. Marie kept going on about how strong Makoto is and that she has nothing to be afraid of. For Makoto, who reads a lot of manga, this is something a person will say before getting into a deadly problem. Putting that aside, they have been walking for quite a while already without meeting anyone. Maria said that there must be nobody left. Makoto refuted this, saying that there is 2 people who survived. Maria said that they have not searched the square yet. After arriving there, they saw all the zombies killed. Marie again complimented him. That is where they saw the wife of the Lord. They said that she was about to give birth when the zombies attacked. That is when they thought the survivors might be the baby in her womb. They want to give the lady a cesarean. The wife of the Lord, who is already a zombie, suddenly rose up again on Maria. She was quickly defeated by Makoto. He thought that her reaction must have been to protect her child. After doing the operation, it turns out the babies are twins. Makoto said that the lady must have been protecting them, complimenting her motherly instinct. Since there are not any zombies left, Makoto suggested they all go back to the mansion so that all of them could take a rest. Maria prepared breakfast for Makoto. He thought that staying in the mansion would be great, but the villagers are all dead and they should not stay anymore. Makoto suggested that they move to the next town where all of them can have a better life. The girls disagreed with that plan, asking him if they could follow Makoto instead. He asked them if they were sure about this, and the girls agreed. To deal with the twin babies, Makoto thought about sending them somewhere safe. The girls wanted to keep them, claiming that they wanted to raise and take care of the babies. He said that they do not have enough money to sustain the babies. Maria suggested that they could sell the things in the mansion since they are expensive. Makoto had second thoughts, but she assured him that it is alright since he killed all the monsters here, meaning all the loot is for him to keep. Makoto announced that after eating breakfast, they should scour the mansion for something to sell. While exploiting the mansion, Makoto found a decorative double-edged sword. He used God's Eye on the sword, revealing its stats. Makoto wondered what the stats were on the wooden log he used earlier. It has very high stats, which makes it a better fighting choice. After gathering all they could sell, they loaded it into the carriage. They all shouted about their departure. Makoto gained the thief class after looting the mansion. The group arrived at the Great Maze Lyanna. They explained that there are big cities inside the ancient maze, and that adventurers come there in search of treasure or legendary equipment. Merchants also stay here because of the rare materials. The combination of these two made a sustainable town. The group decided to rest because the sun is setting. Makoto woke up with Kachua beside him, surprising him. She explained that after going to the restroom she went back to what she thought was her own room. But it's actually Makoto's room, and he did not mind. It actually made him happy. Kachua then asked if it was alright for her to sleep beside Makoto from now on. As he left the room, he was greeted by Maria, who invited him for a breakfast. Then they can hear screaming at the front desk. There is an adventurer complaining about the crying kids that kept him awake all night. Makoto assumed that it must be the twins, so the adventurer must be talking about them. The adventurer is demanding a refund. Makoto introduced himself as the person who is next door in the inn and suggested that he would provide compensation instead. The adventurer said that he is about to go to the labyrinth, but because he was not able to sleep he will underperform, and to make up for what he lost, Makoto should give him 5 gold coins, which is equivalent to a month in a VIP room in the inn. He surmised that this guy must be a type of person who picks on the weak. Makoto glared at the adventurer, which offended him. The guy asserted his dominance by shouting and then threatened Makoto, asking if he could take him on. Here we can see the adventurer's name. He changed his mind and thought humiliating Makoto would be a better choice, asking him to crawl between his legs. But our protagonist does not want to lose his pride in front of the Rosalian sisters. But he doubts that he can beat guard either because he has a higher class level. The guy hit him straight in the stomach, but he did not feel any pain. The adventurer commented that he might have not went all out with that punch, so he took another swing at Makoto. Again, he dodged the punch. The adventurer got annoyed, and then Makoto countered with his own punch, shaking the adventurer and making him even madder. Guard threatened Makoto that he would murder him. Their fight got interrupted by a female knight. Her name is Arya. It turns out the guy has been messing with girls in the tavern every night. Arya kicked the guy out of her party without letting him explain, because she heard enough reports about him, and that she does not want to hear anything from someone who looks down on women. She bids him farewell. Guard went after Arya to explain himself. This is when suddenly Makoto's Eye of God activated, where he saw Guard killing Arya. After finding out what would happen, Makoto decided to do something about it and asked the Rosalian sisters for a favor. He explained various things, such as him being a summoned person and that he can see the future. They wanted to register as adventurers to gather information. They were greeted by an elf named Anna. She said that if they want to register, they have to fill out a paper with their information. Makoto asked where Arya could be with the excuse of returning her wallet, and Anna replied that she might be in the maze right now. He then asked where Guard was. It made Anna glare with disgust, so Makoto quickly avoided asking any further. She thanks him for registering. Makoto suggested that they should finish quests in the meantime while waiting for Arya. When they heard a familiar voice, it was Guard, who was hitting up another woman with the excuse of being her guard. When the girl refused, he indirectly threatened her that they should be careful since Anna has a younger sister, and she might disappear in the forest for mysterious reasons. The girl gets mad, adding that if something happens to Lyanna, presumably the little sister, she will never forgive him. The other adventurers wanted to save her, but they all did not know if they could beat Guard. This is when our protagonist stepped in. Guard got annoyed because someone interrupted him, but he suddenly felt energized after seeing Makoto remember him from yesterday. Guard hastily attacked him, but Makoto can see a small light on the chest of Guard. Thinking this should be the spot where Makoto should strike him. After hitting that spot with all his might, Guard fell down, amazing everyone who witnessed the quick brawl, with the Rosalian sisters praising him again. The other party member who holds a grudge against Guard wanted to take a swing at him but felt something different. Makoto asked him to stop because he was knocked out, but the party member announced that Guard was dead. Makoto learned the next day that he had been proven innocent. A man explained to him that they knew about Guard's abusive approach towards women and that they had the evidence to convict him. He then thanks him by giving him money. As they walked out, the two girls were happy to find that Makoto was innocent, but he insisted that it was all possible thanks to Jake as their witness. They went to an academy, which is a place for people who are willing to learn magic. But before they could go any further, Marie was running towards them and yelling Makoto's name. She was worried about the babies, then they quickly rushed back home to see them. Makoto was worried if they had finally turned into zombies, but he was surprised to see that the baby was acting a bit strange. The baby introduced itself as the Overlord, Lanaria Raymilla Marilis. Makoto takes a look at the baby's stats but is shocked to see that its stats are crazy high. He sees the tag reincarnator suggesting that he is indeed resurrected after death. Lanaria confirmed it, saying it was through the use of an ancient technique. Makoto asked something about the baby a few hours ago, when his previous memory merged with the body, and now all his stats can't be used due to his current state as a reincarnation. The baby then asked Maria why she uses cow's milk to feed him. She stated that it is a specialized magic milk for infants. Lanaria then insisted that it would be better if it came from a mother. Makoto agrees and plans to get a foster mother. but Lyanna casts a magic spell that expands Maria's chest unexpectedly. He said that it was a spell for physical growth and transformation enhancement. Makoto asks if he can cast it on anyone. The baby said yes, to which both Makoto and Kachu requested that he do it for them. They see this as an opportunity to fulfill their wishes. But to their shock, nothing happened. In the next scene, they're in a guild hall, and while Makoto was looking to take some quests, he saw that the quests were wood-related and contacted the manager, who then said that they'd be available after a few days. While waiting, Jake arrives at the guild along with his group. He later knew that both of them were going for the same quest, so he let him take it and found another one. He sees that the quest only needs a little work, so he asks Jake to do it together instead. He adds that he was about to do a transportation mission and didn't mind sharing the rewards between them. Jake says he was okay not getting involved, and his group agrees with him. A few days later, as they were traveling in a wagon, leaving Marie to take care of the two babies at home, Makoto suddenly got a premonition and told Maria to stop for a bit. He sees a vision of the future and finds that there's an ambush waiting for them. So he uses his magic spell and throws an explosive stone at the target area to blow their cover. Jake's group is alerted, and Makoto tells the girls to hide. He then attacks the enemy chief from behind, but it does no damage to him. He quickly turns around and slashes Makoto on his shoulder. Jake sees this and immediately gets in front to fight the enemy, but his sword gets completely broken after a single swing from the enemy's large blade. Makoto is left with no weapon to use. He takes a glance at the distance and sees a pile of wood logs. He runs towards it. But from Jake's perspective, he thought he left them to die. Makoto surprises them with a comeback, then puts his enemy out of his misery. After dealing with their chief, his group surrounded Jake's party and one of his men was attempting to violate them. As he was about to do so, he turns around and sees that their chief is dead. They got mad and charged at Makoto, but were quickly swept away with a single swing. Makoto stood proud as they wiped off the threats in their path. After the encounter, they finally arrived at their destination to deliver the requested items. The small man can now make holy stakes for them. They stopped at a holy lake, which is a lake that can imbue any object with a holy attribute. Makoto asked why he should have just made stakes from the woods in the forest. The small man says that they are light and delicate and prefers rosewood instead. He takes a look at the wood log stats and sees that it is of very high quality. He then asked why he doesn't make weapons like swords. The small man says that swords turn blunt if they're dipped in water and that the god who made the lake extremely hates weapon-related objects. A few moments later, after dipping a few logs in the lake, they took a rest at the tavern for the night. In their room, Makoto was lying on their bed uncomfortably. Maria gets behind him and openly asks if she could do a favor for him. Makoto is happy that she's willing to do it for her, as she was about to lay it on him. They noticed Kachua's jealous stare. She says that she wants in on the fun as well. Maria smiled and let her join them. The next day, he got up to greet his friends. Jake turned around to greet him as well but saw that Makoto was drained of his life source. The small man tells them that they should go now and retrieve the other pieces of wood, and after a little adventure, they finally dipped all of their rosewood logs in the lake so that they could create holy stakes. Makoto remembered something and asked the small man if they take vampire hunting quests. He says yes and that he has to wait a while to use the stakes. Later that day, Jake had an encounter with a man who was mocking their party, saying they were trash adventurers. Makoto calms him down, then looks at the person. His profile says that his name is Abel Rainstein, a level 49 hero. Abel then adds that they'll turn into vampires and he doesn't want them to stain his blade with their blood. Jake gets mad and points at him. He was annoyed by it, and says if he keeps pointing at him he will break his fingers. So he counts down from 5. After that, he vanishes and breaks Jake's finger. Makoto, with his god's eye, couldn't even detect any movements from him. Abel warned him, then said that he is a follower of Estina and that he should be thankful that he only broke a small piece of bone. He then proceeds to do another countdown, saying he wants to finish him off, but before he could, Jake begged for mercy and apologized to him. Abel had enough and let him live. As he walks away, Makoto wants to take a look at his stats from a distance. He sees that he has a skill called Time Freeze and figures out how he was able to snap Jake's finger instantly. He finds a weakness behind it, and is planning to take advantage of it. But before he can take a look any further, he gets instantly punched by Abel. He discovers that Makoto is a follower of Lyanna and unsheathes his blade while threatening to kill him. The two girls got in front of him to stop his attack. He hides his blade and continues to walk away, saying he isn't worth his time. Makoto feels enraged, saying that even the goddess who summoned him immediately abandoned him like a piece of trash. He wipes off the guilt and plans to have his payback.
Thanks for staying in tune with our manga recap. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for more updates from our content.